We're joined in studio now by Liberal Senator Zed Seselja. Zed, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Annalise.
Now, you're a minister in charge of charities. This has been a big discussion, in particular after the bushfires. There was a lot of concern about money going to charities like the Red Cross and Celeste Barber's Fund not going where people thought it was going to. So there's a bit of lack of trust in the charity sector at the moment.
Well, I think certainly those concerns have been raised. What we've released today is a government response to a full review, and this has been well before the bushfires, a full review of the ACNC and our regulatory regime for charities. And so it shows that largely the sector is working well. There's always some concerns from time to time that you've got to deal with. And what our response does, it's about reducing red tape, particularly for small charities, making it a bit easier for them to do their job, building trust in the community, strengthening trust in charities, and making sure we've got an effective regulator. And there's a number of measures that we've announced in this response, which I think will be very important, both for building trust, but also for making it as easy as possible for charities to do what they do.
How exactly are you going to help build trust? So
a number of things. So there's some real transparency measures there. So for instance, at the moment, you can be a director of a charity, you can be disqualified only on very limited grounds like bankruptcy and the like. We're going to strengthen those. So if there's terrorism or child sex offences and the like, that will now be a disqualifier for directors. We're going to make sure that large charities report the remuneration of their senior executives. I think that's important. That's another accountability mechanism so people know how the money that goes to charities is being spent. We're going to make sure that the regulator, the commissioner, is able to give some information on some of these investigations. You know, from time to time when we've had concerns raised about particular charities, the regulator at the moment is completely gagged from sharing any of the information except at the end if they are deregistered. So there's some really important things we're doing there. We're going to make sure that things like related party transactions, this is, you know, contracts with family and friends, which sometimes can creep into parts of the sector. We're going to make sure that that's reported on. So again, this is about making sure the community, when they make a donation to their favourite charity, we've all got our favourite charities, they do an amazing job, they know exactly what's happening with it.
So if you're saying that we're going to need to report family connections, we're going to need to report issues with crimes, we're going to need to report other issues, that sounds like red tape.
Well, no, because what we're doing for smaller charities is reducing the reporting burden. So 25,000 charities, almost half the sector, will have less reporting. And the other thing that we're doing when it comes to cutting red tape is working with the states and territories to harmonise the fundraising laws. There have been great concerns around that, so that streamlines things. But having a few of those reporting requirements, I'd say on things like executive remuneration, many large charities already report on that. And when it comes to the reporting of small charities, when it comes to things like related party transactions, we're specifically going to deliver it in a simplified way. So the community will get the information, but we'll make it as simple as possible, particularly for small charities.
When you say small charity, how do you define a small charity?
Well, at the moment, it's anything under $250,000 turnover.
That's a lot of money. That doesn't seem very small for having less regulations on reporting.
No, $250,000 turnover for one charity, that's really not much. And so what we're doing is we're going to have...
That is if you have lots of people giving $20, $50, $100 out of their paycheck.
Sure, but when we talk large charities, we're talking in the tens of millions. I mean, this is a sector that has a turnover of $150 billion. People probably don't quite grasp what a large sector of our economy this is, not to mention, of course, the social impact, which is why people go into charities, why they form charities. It's a $150 billion turnover. Around 1 million Australians are employed in the sector and about 3 million plus volunteer in the sector. So this is a big sector. So we're going to change some of those reporting thresholds for the small and medium charities, make things simpler for them. Large charities will continue to have to report, but we're working with the states and territories to make particularly the fundraising as simple as possible.
And just finally, the coronavirus response is starting to dominate just about everything around this building at the moment. It's hit higher education, it's hit tourism. What form should the stimulus take to make sure we don't fall into recession?
Well, I think the Prime Minister's been very clear that it'll be targeted and that it'll be measured and scalable, and that is absolutely critically important. So obviously we want to support business investment and business confidence. We want to support key sectors who have been particularly challenged and particularly hard hit by coronavirus. So obviously particularly our tourism sector, our education sector has been hit, but a range of other areas of course have had flow-on impacts. So we want to continue to build confidence. We come into it with a strong economy, but these are serious challenges we're dealing with.
Zed Seselja, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.